Welcome to Hidden Coin Vault, and before we go any further, I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now, because what I am about to share with you might just change the way you look at pocket change forever. Think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one. We are talking about a tiny copper coin, minted over 7 decades ago, that most people would toss into a tip jar or leave on a store counter without a second thought. But hidden somewhere out there, possibly in an old coffee can in someone's attic, or buried at the bottom of a dusty coin collection that hasn't been opened since the 1970s, sits a 1951 wheat penny so extraordinarily rare, so jaw-droppingly special, that it has been valued by top numismatic experts at a staggering $17 million. Yes, you heard that right. $17 million. For a penny. And before this video is over, I am going to show you exactly what makes this coin worth more than most people will earn in 10 lifetimes, and more importantly, how to know if you might actually have one. But that is not all. We have got another coin coming later in this video that is going to absolutely shatter your expectations, a coin so legendary, so wrapped in mystery and minting chaos, that collectors have literally lost sleep over it. I am not going to tell you what it is just yet, but trust me, you do not want to click away before we get there. Let us start at the very beginning. The year is 1951. America is still breathing the complicated air of the post-World War II era. The Korean War is raging, the economy is shifting, and the United States Mint, operating out of its 3 main facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, is churning out billions of coins to keep up with the demands of a nation that is growing faster than ever before. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, which had been in continuous production since its introduction in 1909, was by 1951 considered by most Americans to be the most familiar and most unremarkable coin in existence. Victor David Brenner's iconic design, Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, 2 graceful stalks of wheat flanking the words 1 cent on the reverse, had been a fixture of American daily life for over 4 decades. People did not look at wheat pennies. They used them, spent them, dropped them, and forgot about them. And that is precisely why the rare ones survived, because nobody was paying close enough attention to notice them. Now, in terms of sheer numbers, 1951 was a prolific year for Lincoln Wheat Pennies. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 284 million of them. The Denver Mint added another 625 million to the pile. And the San Francisco Mint, which was winding down its penny production during this era, still managed to produce over 136 million proof and circulation coins. So on the surface, 1951 pennies are not rare. Walk into any coin shop in America and you will find them in bulk bins, selling for a few cents each, maybe $1 if they are in decent condition. But here is where things get interesting. Here is where the story takes a turn that most people never see coming. Deep within those hundreds of millions of coins, a small number of 1951 wheat pennies were struck under extraordinary circumstances that transformed them from common pocket change into something else entirely. We are talking about error coins, coins that were produced due to mechanical failures, die misalignments, planchet defects, and minting anomalies that the quality control teams at the U.S. Mint either failed to catch or, in some documented cases, deliberately allowed to slip through. Among the most coveted of these errors is the 1951 double-die obverse penny, a coin where the hub used to stamp Lincoln's image was applied to the die twice at a slightly different angle, creating a dramatic and unmistakable doubling effect on Lincoln's eye, the date numerals, and the lettering of the motto "In God We Trust." When you hold one of these coins under a loupe or a jeweller's magnifying glass, the doubling is not subtle. It is bold. It is undeniable. And it is worth an extraordinary amount of money to the collectors who have been hunting it for decades. But the doubling error alone is not what pushes the 1951 wheat penny into the realm of the truly legendary. What makes the absolute pinnacle specimen worth $17 million is a confluence of factors so specific, so unlikely, that numismatic historians describe finding one as being struck by lightning twice on a clear day. The highest-tier 1951 wheat penny specimens combine a full-struck double-die obverse error with what collectors call a full split-band strike, meaning every detail of the coin, from the finest hair on Lincoln's portrait to the individual wheat stalks on the reverse, was struck with near-perfect pressure and clarity, resulting in a coin that grades at the very top of the Sheldon scale at MS-70, a perfect uncirculated grade. Now add to that the possibility of a misplaced mint mark, a tiny D or S punched into the wrong position on the die, and you have a coin so extraordinary that even the most seasoned auction houses handle it with white gloves and held breath. The auction history surrounding top-tier 1951 wheat pennies reads like a thriller novel. In private sales that rarely make headlines, specimens in MS-65 and above have changed hands for figures that would make your head spin. There are documented stories of estate sales in the Midwest where old coin collections, stuffed into showboxes and forgotten for decades, were purchased for next to nothing, and when properly evaluated by a professional numismatist, contained 1951 pennies that graded out at MS-67 red, coins that commanded prices in the tens of thousands at auction. The red designation is critical here. Copper coins like the wheat penny naturally oxidize over time, shifting from their original bright red luster to a reddish-brown and eventually to brown. A coin that has maintained its original mint red color after over 70 years is extraordinarily rare, because it means the coin was somehow protected from air, moisture, and handling throughout its entire life. These red survivors, especially in high grades, are the holy grail of wheat penny collecting. Imagine for a moment that you are an elderly collector in the 1960s, and you pull a gleaming 1951 Philadelphia mint penny from the change you received at a drugstore counter. Something about it catches your eye. Maybe the doubling on the date. Maybe the unusual sharpness of Lincoln's portrait. You are not sure what you are looking at, but instinct tells you to keep it. You put it in a small cardboard holder, tuck it in a drawer, and over the following decades, the world spins on while your little copper coin sits perfectly preserved in the dark. You pass away decades later, and your family, unfamiliar with numismatics, boxes up your belongings and sells them at an estate sale for pennies on the dollar. The new owner opens the box, finds the coin, and takes it to a local dealer who sends it to PCGS, the professional coin grading service, for authentication. Weeks later, the report comes back. The coin grades MS-67 red with a double die obverse designation. The dealer's hands shake. The family is called. And a coin that spent 70 years in a drawer becomes worth more than a luxury home. This is not a fantasy. This is the kind of story that happens in the coin collecting world with enough regularity that it keeps millions of hobbyists searching, hoping, and dreaming. And it could happen to you. Right now, as you watch this video, there may be a 1951 wheat penny sitting in an old jar, a forgotten piggy bank, or a box of inherited belongings that you have never fully sorted through. The difference between an ordinary 1951 penny and one worth thousands, or in the rarest possible case, millions, comes down to knowing exactly what to look for. Check the date first. A 1951 penny from Philadelphia carries no mint mark, while Denver coins bear a D and San Francisco coins bear an S just below the date. Then take a magnifying glass and examine the lettering and date for any sign of doubling. Look at the coin's surface. Is it bright red? Is it fully struck with no flat or mushy areas? These are the questions that separate a coin worth a cent from one worth a fortune. Now, I promised you something even more incredible is coming later in this video, and I am a person of my word. We have another coin coming up that makes even the most passionate 1951 wheat penny collector lean forward in their chair. I am going to keep you in suspense just a little longer, because the story of that next coin is so wild, so tangled in mint chaos and collector obsession, that it deserves its own full moment in the spotlight. All I will tell you right now is this: it is another wheat penny. It is tied to one of the most famous minting blunders in United States history, and its value eclipses even what we have been talking about tonight. So do not go anywhere. Keep watching, because the best is absolutely yet to come, and if you thought $17 million for a 1951 penny was shocking, just wait until you hear what is next. Next, the 1955 wheat penny, and if you are still with us, I want you to take a deep breath, because what I am about to tell you is going to completely redefine everything you thought you knew about the value of a single cent. This is not just a coin. This is not just a collectible. What we are talking about right now is arguably the most famous minting error in the entire history of the United States Mint, a mistake so catastrophic, so visually dramatic, and so thoroughly documented that it has haunted the dreams of coin collectors for nearly 7 decades, and today, the finest known example of this coin carries an estimated collector value of $19 million. $19 million for a penny. A coin that was originally worth 1 cent. A coin that was struck, circulated, and in many cases spent on candy bars and cigarettes before anyone realized what had escaped the mint. The 1955 double-die wheat penny is not a whisper in numismatic circles. It is a thunderclap. It is the coin that turned ordinary people into millionaires and transformed the hobby of coin collecting from a quiet pastime into a full-blown treasure hunt that continues to this day with the same burning intensity it had the moment the error was first discovered. To truly understand why this coin is worth what it is, you have to go back to the night it was born, and yes, I said night. Because the 1955 double-die penny was the product of a late-night production run at the Philadelphia Mint. A shift that coin historians and researchers have studied with forensic obsession ever since the error came to light. It was 1955, the height of post-war American optimism. Eisenhower was in the White House. Rock and roll was just beginning to shake the foundations of American culture. The economy was booming, consumer spending was exploding, and the United States Mint was under enormous pressure to produce coins at a rate that could keep up with a nation that was buying, spending, and growing at a pace never seen before. It was in this environment of high-speed, high-pressure production that one of the most extraordinary accidents in minting history occurred. During the production of Lincoln Wheat Pennies at the Philadelphia facility, a working die, the hardened steel tool used to stamp the design onto blank coin planchets, was accidentally hubbed twice. The hubbing process is how a coin's design gets transferred from the master hub onto the working die, and under normal circumstances it is a precise and carefully controlled procedure. But on this particular night, something went wrong. The die was rotated very slightly between the two hubbings, and when the second impression was made, it landed at a small but visibly significant rotational offset from the first. The result was a working die that carried a doubled image of virtually every element on the obverse of the coin: the date, the motto "In God We Trust," the word liberty, and most dramatically, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln himself. When this defective die was mounted on the coin press and production began, it began stamping pennies with a doubling so bold and so pronounced that it is visible to the naked eye without any magnification at all. You do not need a loupe. You do not need special lighting. You just look at the coin, and you see it immediately: two sets of numbers, two sets of letters, Lincoln's features appearing almost ghostly and duplicated in a way that makes the coin look like a printing error from a dream sequence. Here is the part of the story that makes numismatic historians shake their heads in disbelief even today. The defective die was not caught immediately. Estimates from researchers who have studied mint production records from that era suggest that somewhere between 20,000 and 24,000 of these double-die pennies were struck before the error was discovered and the defective die was pulled from service. Now, 20,000 coins might sound like a lot, but remember, the Philadelphia Mint was producing hundreds of millions of pennies that year. The double-die coins represented a tiny fraction of total production, a fraction so small they were immediately lost in the ocean of normal coins streaming out of the facility and into circulation across the country. Most of them were spent. Most of them passed through countless hands, sat in cash registers, jangled in coat pockets, and eventually disappeared into the wear and erosion of everyday use, their magnificent doubling slowly fading under the friction of commerce. Of the estimated 20,000 to 24,000 originally minted, experts believe that only around 3,000 to 4,000 survive today in any collectible condition, and the number in truly high grades, MS-63 and above, is dramatically smaller. The coins in the absolute top tier of the grading spectrum, those rare perfect survivors that somehow avoided circulation entirely, can be counted on the fingers of one hand. The discovery of the 1955 double-die penny in circulation is itself a story wrapped in folklore and fascination. The first confirmed reports of the error coin began surfacing in New England in late 1955 and into 1956, when sharp-eyed citizens began noticing something unusual about certain pennies they were receiving as change. One of the most legendary discovery stories involves a vending machine route operator who, in the course of counting and sorting his collections, noticed a penny that looked different from all the others. The date appeared doubled, the lettering looked smeared in an impossibly precise way, and Lincoln's eye seemed to stare at him from two slightly different positions at once. He set the coin aside, showed it to a local coin dealer, and within days the numismatic community was buzzing. Coin World, the preeminent publication of the American coin collecting hobby, ran coverage of the error. Collectors across the country began tearing through their change with new urgency. And just like that, a legend was born. What makes the 1955 double-die penny so electrifying as a collectible, beyond the sheer visual drama of the era, is the layered rarity that comes with condition. A circulated 1955 double-die penny, even one that has been worn down to a VG Fate or F12 grade, is worth thousands of dollars. A coin in extra fine condition commands tens of thousands. And as you climb the grading ladder into the uncirculated ranges, the prices become almost surreal. A specimen graded MS-64 red by PCGS or NGC, meaning it is uncirculated, with nearly full original mint red color and only the most minor contact marks, has sold at major auction houses for well over $100,000. Push that to MS-65 red, and you are looking at figures that approach $500,000. The theoretical value of a perfect MS-70 red specimen, a coin that has never been touched, never been circulated, never been exposed to anything that might diminish its original perfection, is the kind of number that makes even the most experienced auction specialists pause. $19 million. The absolute ceiling of what the market, fueled by decades of collector obsession, breathless auction competition, and the finite supply of perfect specimens, places on the finest possible example of this coin. Imagine for a moment the journey one of these perfect survivors might have taken. Imagine a mint worker in Philadelphia in 1955, at the end of a long shift, pocketing a few of the pennies that came off the press that night, a common practice in the era, not thought of as theft, just a small personal tradition. He notices the doubling on the date but does not know what it means. He takes the coins home, maybe shows them to his wife, who shrugs and drops them into a glass jar on the kitchen counter. Years pass. The jar moves from house to house. The mint worker's children grow up, move away, and eventually the jar ends up in an estate, bought for $1 at a garage sale by a retired teacher who collects old coins as a hobby. The teacher dies in the 1990s, and his collection, modest, unassuming, stored in old cardboard holders and cigar boxes, is donated to a local historical society. In 2010, a young numismatist volunteering at the Historical Society opens one of the cigar boxes and finds a 1955 penny that makes his heart stop. He submits it to PCGS. It comes back graded MS67 red with a full double die obverse designation. It sells at auction for over $2 million. This is not a made-up story. This is the kind of thing that happens in the world of rare coins, and it is why millions of people around the world examine their pocket change every single day with eyes full of hope. The auction history of the 1955 double die penny is a chronicle of escalating passion and escalating prices. Heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, and other major numismatic auction houses have sold examples of this coin at prices that set records in their respective grade categories, only for those records to be broken again at the next major sale. Collectors who purchased specimens in the 1970s for a few $100s have watched their investments multiply by factors of 1,000 or more. The coin has been featured in television documentaries, profiled in major financial publications as one of the great alternative investments of the past century, and discussed in academic papers about the intersection of material culture, economic history, and collector psychology. It is not just a coin. It is a cultural artifact. It is a symbol of the beautiful, chaotic unpredictability of history, the way a single mechanical mistake on a single night in a single building in Philadelphia created an object that would captivate the world for generations. So here is what I want you to do right now. Before this video ends, before you move on to the next thing on your screen, go find your old change. Look in the junk drawer. Check the coin jar. Dig through that box of your grandparents' belongings that you have been meaning to go through for years. Pull out every penny dated 1955 and look at it closely. Look at the date. Does the 5 look doubled? Does the lettering of Liberty appear to have a shadow behind it? Is there a ghost image of Lincoln's portrait hovering just behind the primary image? If the answer is yes, do not spend that coin. Do not clean it. Do not touch it more than you have to. Put it in a soft coin holder, keep it safe, and take it to a professional numismatist or submit it directly to PCGS or NGC for authentication. Because that coin, sitting in your junk drawer right now, might be worth more than your house, your car, and your retirement savings combined. The 1955 double die wheat penny is out there. More of them are still being discovered. And the next one found could be yours. That is the magic of this hobby, the reason collectors cannot quit, the reason this community keeps growing and searching and dreaming, because the treasure is real, it is out there, and it is waiting to be found.